The call came on a Tuesday morning, the kind of crisp October day that Kathy would have loved. I was standing in the garage, surrounded by boxes I'd been avoiding for 18 months, when my phone buzzed. Elena Martinez, the attorney who'd handled Kathy's estate. "Mr. Harrison, I need you to come by my office today. It's important." Her tone carried weight I couldn't ignore. "What's this about?" My hand tightened around an old cardboard box labeled Camping Gear 2019. "I'd rather discuss it in person. Can you be here at 2 o'clock? I agreed, though my stomach had already started to knot. At 64, I'd learned that urgent calls from lawyers rarely brought good news. I set down the box and looked around the garage, Catherine's presence still tangible in every corner. 18 months since the cancer took her, and I still expected to hear her voice calling me in for lunch. The drive to Elena's office took 20 minutes through downtown Bozeman. The autumn leaves painted the streets gold and amber, the kind of beauty that felt almost offensive when you were grieving. I'd been Catherine's husband for 42 years. We'd built our life here after I retired from the fire department, raised our daughter Jessica in the house on Maple Street, and planned to grow old watching Montana's seasons change together. Those plans died with her. Elena's receptionist showed me straight in. The attorney stood as I entered, a woman in her mid-50s with kind eyes that currently held something I couldn't quite read. Concern, maybe, or pity. "Tom, thank you for coming." She gestured to a chair. "What I'm about to show you is unexpected." She pulled out a manila envelope, the kind Catherine used for important documents. My name was written across it in my late wife's handwriting, the letters slightly shaky, like she'd written it during one of her bad days. "Where did you find this?" My voice sounded strange to my own ears. "Your daughter brought it in last week. She said she found it while helping you clean out Catherine's things." Elena paused, watching my face. "But Tom, Jessica doesn't know what's inside, and I think that's intentional." My hands trembled as I took the envelope. Inside was a small SD card and a note. "For Tom's eyes only. Play this alone. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you while I was still here. I love you. Forever, Kathy." Elena had already set up her laptop. I previewed it to make sure it was appropriate. "Tom, I think you need to watch this, but I also think you need to be prepared." She pressed play and left the room. Catherine's face filled the screen, thinner than I wanted to remember, her blue eyes tired but clear. The video was dated 6 weeks before she died, before the final hospital stay. "Hi, sweetheart." Her voice cracked something open inside me. "If you're watching this, I'm gone, and I'm so sorry to leave you with this burden. But I need to tell you something I discovered, and I need you to trust me, even though it's going to hurt." She took a shaky breath. "It's about Jessica and Brad. Tom, they're not what they seem. I know you think our daughter married a good man, that they're struggling financially like they say, but I found things. I heard things." My heart started pounding. 2 months ago, I overheard Jessica and Brad in our kitchen. You were at your veterans' breakfast. They thought I was asleep upstairs, but the chemo insomnia had me up. Tom, they were talking about our house, about how much it's worth, about how they couldn't wait until I was gone, so they could work on Dad. Catherine's eyes filled with tears. I started paying attention after that. I found bank statements Brad left in his car when they borrowed it. "Tom, they're not broke. They have over $80,000 in savings. The business struggles Jessica keeps mentioning. Brad's construction company is doing fine. I checked the county records for permits and contracts. They're lying to you." I felt the room spinning. "I couldn't prove everything. Not enough to confront them while I'm sick and you're stressed. But I hired a private investigator with my own money, from the account you don't check. I have his reports. They're in our bedroom closet, inside the hat box with the red ribbon, the one with my wedding veil." She wiped her eyes. "I'm telling you this now because I know Jessica. Our daughter learned manipulation from somewhere, and I'm ashamed to say she learned it watching me handle my own mother. I used guilt. I used illness. I swore I'd never pass that to her, but somehow she absorbed it anyway." Catherine leaned closer to the camera. "Tom, after I'm gone, they're going to pressure you. They'll say you're too old to maintain the house. They'll suggest moving you to assisted living. They'll offer to help by taking over the finances. Don't let them. You're only 63. You're healthier than men half your age. You have at least 20 good years left. She smiled, sadly. I know you'll want to deny this. You'll want to believe I was paranoid from the medication. But check the hat box, Tom. Look at the evidence. Then decide what to do. I trust you to make the right choice, even if it breaks your heart. The video ended with her blowing a kiss. I sat in Elena's office for a long time, the autumn sun streaming through the windows, my world fragmenting into before and after. Before, I knew. After, I couldn't unknow. Tom? Elena's voice was gentle as she returned. I'm sorry. Did you look at what she mentioned? The evidence? No. That's between you and Catherine. But I will say this. The fact that she went to such lengths suggests she was very certain. Elena sat down across from me. What do you want to do? I need to go home. I need to find that hat box. The drive back felt like moving through water. Every memory of Jessica reframed itself. Her concerned calls about my health, her suggestions about downsizing, Brad's offers to handle yard work, to help with financial planning. All of it suddenly looked different under Catherine's warning light. At home, I went straight to our bedroom. The closet still smelled like her perfume. I found the hat box on the top shelf, red ribbon exactly as she'd described. Inside, beneath the lace veil she'd worn 42 years ago, was a thick folder. Bank statements showing Brad and Jessica's healthy accounts. Property records showing they'd been researching the value of my house. Printouts of text messages the investigator had somehow obtained, discussing their inheritance strategy. A timeline of their visits correlated with their increasing pressure for me to consider easier living situations. There was more, so much more, including a recording of Jessica telling Brad, once Dad signs over power of attorney, we can move him anywhere we want. He'll fight it at first, but he'll adjust. Old people always do. I sat on the floor of the closet, surrounded by evidence of my daughter's betrayal, and felt something inside me harden. But Catherine hadn't just left me problems. She'd left solutions. In the folder was a name, Richard Torres, an estate attorney in Billings. A note in her handwriting. He knows everything. He can help you protect yourself. Use him. I called Torres that evening. By the end of the week, I had a plan. First, I needed to be sure. I needed to see it for myself, not just trust a dead wife's investigation, no matter how thorough. I loved Catherine, but grief made people paranoid sometimes. I had to know. I called an old buddy from the fire department who'd gone into private security. Danny, I need to borrow some equipment. Cameras, the hidden kind. He didn't ask questions, just showed up 2 days later with a box of tiny cameras that looked like smoke detectors, phone chargers, even a coffee maker. These are military grade, Tom. Whatever you're dealing with, this'll catch it. I installed them throughout the house, focusing on the living room, my office, and the kitchen. Then I waited. Jessica called that Sunday. Dad, Brad, and I want to come over for dinner. We need to talk to you about something important. Sure, honey. I'll make that pot roast you like. They arrived at 6, Jessica carrying wine, Brad with his usual forced smile. My daughter looked so much like Catherine at that age, it physically hurt. Same auburn hair, same quick gestures. But where Catherine's eyes had always been warm, Jessica's held a calculation I'd never let myself see before. Dinner was tense. I kept the conversation light, asking about Brad's construction projects, Jessica's work at the real estate office. Finally, over coffee, Jessica set down her cup. Dad, we need to talk about the house. What about it? It's too big for one person. The maintenance, the yard, the stairs. Brad and I are worried about you. She reached across the table, covering my hand with hers. We think it might be time to consider something more manageable. I manage fine. Brad leaned forward. Tom, we're not trying to push you, but you're not getting any younger. What happens if you fall? What if there's an emergency, and you're here alone? I'm 64, not 94. We know. But Jessica's voice took on that patient tone that made my jaw clench. Dad, we've been looking at some really nice senior communities. There's one in Bozeman with a great rec center, meal plans, activities. You'd have friends, support. I have friends. I have support. Do you, though? Brad's question hung in the air. You spend most days alone. You barely leave the house except for groceries. That's not healthy. I felt anger rising, but kept my voice level. What exactly are you suggesting? Jessica and Brad exchanged a look. We think you should sell the house, she said. Use the money to set yourself up somewhere safer, somewhere with support. And Dad, Brad and I could help manage things. Make sure you're getting the best deal, that your finances are handled properly. My finances are handled fine. Are they? Brad pulled out a folder. Tom, I took the liberty of reviewing some public records. Your property taxes are due soon. The roof needs work. The furnace is 20 years old. You're sitting on at least $600,000 in equity. But you're hemorrhaging money on maintenance. That's my business. It's family business, Jessica said, her voice hardening slightly. Mom would want us to take care of you. The invocation of Catherine nearly broke my composure. Your mother never said anything about me selling this house. Mom was sick, Dad. She wasn't thinking clearly about the future. I stood up. I think you both should leave. Dad, now. After they left, I sat in the dark living room and watched the camera footage on my laptop. Their conversation continued in the car, parked in my driveway for 10 minutes after they thought I couldn't hear. Jessica's voice was clear through the audio. He's being stubborn. We need to push harder. Maybe we should wait, Brad said. Give him time to come around. We've been waiting 18 months. I'm tired of playing the concerned daughter. That house is mine by right. I grew up there. I shouldn't have to beg my own father for what's coming to me anyway. It's not yours until he dies or signs it over. Then we need to make him sign it over. He trusts us. We can do this. I watched them drive away, my daughter's words echoing. What's coming to me anyway? The next morning, I called Richard Torres. I need to change my will, I told him. All of it. Over the following week, Torres helped me restructure everything. The house would go to the Montana Firefighters Burn Fund upon my death. My savings would fund a scholarship program for children of fallen firefighters. Jessica would receive a token amount, $5,000, with a letter explaining why. But I also set up something else, a trust that would activate if I became incapacitated, managed by Torres and 2 other attorneys, ensuring I could never be declared incompetent or moved against my will unless 3 independent doctors agreed. This is aggressive, Torres said. Are you sure? I need to protect myself from my own daughter. Yes, I'm sure. The cameras captured 3 more visits over the next month. Each time, Jessica and Brad's pressure increased. They brought brochures for senior living. They accidentally left articles about elderly people who'd fallen and died alone. They suggested I give them power of attorney just in case. When I refused, their masks began to slip. Dad, you're being unreasonable, Jessica snapped during one visit. We're trying to help you. I don't need help. Yes, you do. You're depressed. You're isolated. You're making bad decisions. Like refusing to give you my house? Her face flushed. That's not what this is about, isn't it? Brad stood. Tom, we've been patient, but if you won't listen to reason, we'll have to consider other options. Like what? Having me declared incompetent? The flicker in Jessica's eyes told me I'd hit the mark. Get out of my house, I said quietly. Both of you. Dad, I said get out. After they left, I called Torres. I need to accelerate the timeline. How soon can we execute the new will? It's already done, Tom. Signed and filed. As of 3 days ago, everything is set. Good, because I'm going to confront them. Are you sure that's wise? Wise? No. Necessary? Absolutely. I invited them over for Sunday dinner, 1 month to the day after Elena had shown me Catherine's video. I set the table with Kathy's good china, made her famous roast chicken, even opened a bottle of wine. Jessica arrived with a forced smile. Dad, I'm glad you called. We've been so worried. I know you have. Sit down. We need to talk. Over dinner, I let them make their pitch. They'd prepared well, bringing documents about senior communities, financial projections, even a proposed timeline for selling the house. When they finished, I poured more wine. That's quite a presentation. We've put a lot of thought into this, Brad said. We want what's best for you. Do you? I pulled out my laptop. Because I want to show you something. I played the video. Not Catherine's warning. Not yet. First, I showed them the security footage from their car conversations. Showed them plotting. Showed them calculating. Showed Jessica saying, "That house is mine by right." The color drained from my daughter's face. "Dad, let me explain." "No." My voice was steady despite the shaking in my hands. "You've explained enough. You've been explaining for months. All those concerned visits. All that worry about my health, my finances, my future. All of it was about one thing. Getting what you think is yours." Brad started to stand. "Tom, you're taking things out of context. Sit down." The tone I'd used on rookie firefighters, the one that expected obedience. He sat. "I'm not finished." I opened another file. "This is the investigator's report your mother commissioned before she died." "Yes, Jessica, your mother knew. She knew everything." I played Catherine's video, watched my daughter's face as her mother, speaking from beyond the grave, outlined every betrayal. When it ended, silence filled the room. "Mom was sick," Jessica finally whispered. "She was paranoid. She was dying, and she used her last months to protect me from you." I stood. "You want to know what happens now? I'll tell you. The house is no longer mine to give you. Upon my death, it goes to the Montana Firefighters Burn Fund. My savings will fund scholarships for firefighters' children. You'll receive $5,000 and a letter explaining why." "You can't do that!" Jessica's voice rose to a shout. "I'm your daughter." "You stopped being my daughter when you started plotting to take my home. When you called me old and stubborn and in the way. When you forgot that I'm a person, not just an obstacle to your inheritance." Brad's face had gone red. "This is because of some edited videos? Some paranoid investigation by a woman who was drugged out of her mind on pain medication. Get out of my house." "Tom," I said, "get out. If you come back, I'll call the police. If you try to contest the will, the evidence goes public. If you try to have me declared incompetent, 3 independent doctors and 2 attorneys have to approve it, and they already have copies of everything." Jessica started crying, but I hardened my heart. These weren't tears of remorse. They were tears of a child caught with her hand in the cookie jar. "Dad, please. We can fix this. We can. There's nothing to fix. You made your choices. I'm making mine. Goodbye, Jessica." They left. Jessica tried calling for weeks, leaving voicemails that swung between apologetic and angry. Brad sent threatening emails about legal action until Torres shut that down with a cease and desist letter. And me? I went back to the garage, to those boxes I'd been avoiding. Found the old camping gear, the fishing poles, the photo albums. Started sorting through not just Catherine's life, but our life together. I found the old camcorder, the one Catherine must have used for her video. When I charged it, I discovered she'd left other recordings. Not warnings, memories. Her talking to the camera like she was talking to me. About the life we'd built, the love we'd shared, the future she wished we could have had. "Tom," she said in one video, her voice weak but steady. "I know finding out about Jessica will hurt, but don't let it make you bitter. Don't let it steal the years you have left. Promise me you'll find joy again. Promise me you'll live." I played that video on repeat for days, and slowly, I started to keep my promise. I joined the volunteer program at the fire station, mentoring young firefighters. Started a support group for widowers at the community center. Took up woodworking in Catherine's honor, making toys for the children's hospital. 3 months after confronting Jessica, I was at the fire station when a young firefighter named Marcus approached me. "Mr. Harrison, Chief said you might have time to help me with my training manual." I spent an hour going over rescue procedures with him. At the end, he shook my hand. "Thank you, sir. My dad died in a fire when I was 10. I'm doing this for him." "What was his name?" "James Cooper. He was with Station 7. I remembered James. Remembered the funeral. Remembered his widow and 3 children, lost and grieving. Your dad was a good man. He'd be proud of you." Marcus's eyes shone. "I hope so. The scholarship from the Firefighters Fund is how I'm paying for the academy. Without that, I couldn't afford it." I felt something shift in my chest. "You're on scholarship?" Yes, sir. The fund paid for everything. They said some families set up memorial programs. I don't know who funded mine, but I'm grateful every day. After he left, I sat in the station's common room, surrounded by pictures of firefighters past and present. Catherine had been right. This was better than leaving everything to a daughter who saw me as an obstacle. This was legacy. This was purpose. I pulled out my phone and called Torres. The scholarship fund we set up, how many kids can it help? The way we've structured it? Probably 20 to 30 kids over the next decade. Make it more. Use half my savings now, while I'm alive. I want to see it help people. Tom, are you sure? That's a significant amount of money. I've never been more sure of anything. That night, I opened Catherine's journal, the one she'd kept during her illness. I'd been too afraid to read it before, but now I needed her words. The final entry, written 3 days before she died, said, "Tom will be angry when he finds out about Jessica. He'll be hurt, but I know my husband. He'll turn that pain into something beautiful. He'll find a way to make meaning from betrayal. That's who he is. That's why I loved him for 42 years. That's why I'll love him forever." I closed the journal and looked around our house. Not a burden, not an asset to be divided. A home. The place where Catherine and I had built a life. The place I would live until my last day. Not because I was stubborn, but because I chose to. 6 months later, the scholarship fund had helped 12 kids attend the fire academy. I attended every graduation, shook every hand, heard every story of why they wanted to serve. And in each grateful face, I saw what Catherine had given me. A second chance at fatherhood, not through blood, but through purpose. Jessica sent a final letter 1 year after our confrontation. It was brief. "I'm sorry, Dad. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know, I understand now what we threw away. Mom was right. I hope you're well." I filed it away, neither forgiving nor holding grudges. Some things can't be fixed. Some betrayals run too deep. But I could choose not to let it consume me. I chose Catherine's way. Love without blindness. Generosity without foolishness. Legacy without blood. On the anniversary of her death, I visited her grave with flowers and sat in the autumn sun. The Montana landscape painted gold around us. "You saved me twice," I told her. "Once when you married me. Once when you left me that video. I'm keeping my promise, Kathy. I'm living. I'm finding joy. I'm making it count." The wind rustled through the trees, and I swear I heard her laugh. I'm 65 now. My house is still mine. My purpose is clear. And when I finally join Catherine, I'll leave behind not just money in a bank account, but lives changed, families helped, and a legacy that matters. She was right. 20 good years left, maybe more. And I intend to use every single one of them, proving that the best revenge isn't bitterness. It's living well,